And welcome to the Prepared Mind channel, folks. If you're new and you happen to be on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And folks, they keep unsubscribing people. Absolutely incredible. Make sure you also check down below in the description. There's 4 different Prepared Mind channels, all of them, folks. It takes all of them to make this channel work. But the best thing to do, best of all, is to go to patreon.com and sign up for the Prepared Mind there, because one day, poof, we could be gone, like magic, magicians and clowns and circuses. It's like magic. We could just disappear. But on Patreon, we're always going to be there. And that's where you guys guerrilla fund us. In fact, right now, the people that are getting to ask questions in this, because first half of the hour is me. Second half of the hour is you guys asking live questions, Q&A. We do it Monday through Friday, but only on Patreon. $2 a month. Hey, how hard is that? 7 cents a day, and then you can help direct the show, make you famous. Let's talk about the shit that's going on, though, folks. Get this. The Secretary of State comes out today, and he says the Taliban won't allow Americans at Mazar-i-Sharif Airport to leave because they lack valid travel documents. It's not that they don't lack travel documents. They don't lack valid travel documents. So I imagine at Taliban headquarters, at the Taliban Human Resources Department, they offer Taliban training on how to ensure that travel documents are valid. Are you kidding me? These people are still riding around on goats and donkeys. Not to mention the things that they do to goats and donkeys. They're on the menu, right? The Taliban is more security oriented than the United States of America, the government, right? But get this. Secretary of State Blinken says the Taliban won't allow stranded Americans to leave. We're blaming the Taliban yet again. Our government up in Washington, D.C., blaming the Taliban for their inability, the U.S. government's inability to tell a bunch of backwards ass Afghani hillbillies, for lack of a better, how do you describe these people? Uneducated. I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't get really far, folks, in kindergarten here in America. It is mind-bending. The clown show we're dealing with when our government cannot persuade a bunch of idiots who they just gave $85 billion, right, in equipment. And the Taliban is going to pretend to be security-oriented more so than the U.S. The Taliban can stop Americans who have been robbed of their papers. I mean, that's just it. If they valid papers, if they've been robbed, why wouldn't the Taliban just say, get the fuck out of our country? Of course, that's what they would say. Get on that plane, get out of our country. This is Taliban town. We don't want you Americans here. Why would they care? Do you think the Taliban has their own TSA? Right? Travel Security Administration. How about the Taliban Security Administration, the TSA in Afghanistan? It is a giant clown show, folks. There's people like that in Afghanistan, scared to death that they're going to be found out, captured, and killed, or worse. We heard a number of up to 50,000 Americans were in Afghanistan.
So Americans should understand that troops might have to be there beyond August 31st.
No, Americans should understand that we're going to try to get it done before August 31st.
But if we don't, the troops will stay.
If we don't, we'll determine at the time who's left.
And
if there are American forces, if there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
It is absolutely shocking. And I want to thank Mr. T for getting us and putting that video together on the Absolute Clown Show. Absolute Clown Show, folks, that is in Washington, D.C. The Taliban get blamed because they can't get those planes out of there. They're being held hostage. How does this work? The United States is so inept, so limp, impotent, that it makes no sense. In fact, if you want to hear some more head-spinning stupidity, Senator Lindsey Graham, he went on the BBC, right? That would be the British Broadcasting Corporation, not the American one. I don't know why he's over there talking to them when he should be talking to Americans here about, I don't know, maybe the January 6th political prisoners that are being held for walking into, trespassing. Well, except they were invited in by the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police. But instead, he's on the news talking to BBC. And here's what he has to say, folks. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this stupid? This is a quote from Senator Graham, folks. United States Senator, who's apparently hasn't done anything about Afghanistan. Apparently hasn't done anything. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but what does he say? Whether you like Trump or not, whether you believe it's Trump's fault or Biden's fault, here's where we are as a world. The Taliban are not reformed. They're not new. They have a view of the world out of sync with modern times. They're going to impose a lifestyle on the Afghan people that I think is going to make us all sick to our stomach. And then he went on and said, hey, the U.S. is going back to Afghanistan. Right? How does he say that? Does he hint at it? He says, speaking of Afghanistan, he says, they're going to give safe haven to Al-Qaeda, who has ambitions to drive us out of the Middle East with large and attack us because of our way of life. We will be going back into Afghanistan as we went back into Iraq and Syria. And this this BBC host, Stephen Sacker, he says, hang on, you seriously think the U.S. will once again in the foreseeable future put troops back into Afghanistan? And Senator Graham says, we'll have to. We'll have to because the threat will be so large. It will be a cauldron for radical religious behavior. This is astounding, folks. It is head spinning. So we're going to, Senator Graham is going to allow, without comment in the United States of America, all of this shit to happen. Our men and women killed, while we at home are suffering from absolute insane domestic policies. It is clown world of SHTF. That's all there is to it, right? Stupidity, the blame game, Afghanistan. It is off the hook, folks. You need to be prepared because I have no idea what these idiots will do next. For example, Joe Biden is going to go to ground zero on the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. This is the surrenderer in chief, right? He has armed the Taliban with $85 billion in weaponry, in addition to all the weaponry and weird shit they had that they used to fight American troops. Joe Biden is stranded hundreds, if not thousands of Americans in Afghanistan. And this guy has the guts, the temerity to show up in New York City and represent, I guess, the government. In a lot of ways, folks, it's perfect that he show up, because the same lunacy and idiocy that got us into different Gulf wars, the same claims that we need to be there, they just keep recycling and rehashing. Joe Biden going to 9/11, 20th anniversary, ground zero, after surrendering, giving up, causing our troops to get killed, stranding Americans. That's just perfect. complete ineptitude of Washington, D.C. on display. Once again, folks, I just get your questions together, folks. Get them together. It's hard for me to keep this together, right? Absolutely hard to keep this together. Get this, right? A CNN panelists, including Dr. Demento, lash out, attack, accuse college students for cheering enthusiastically and exhaling with vigor at college football games. Are people really in the world of this dipshit supposed to go to college football games, college basketball games, college baseball games, and sit there and not cheer? I mean, these events are entertainment. They're about having fun, enjoying life. But they're attacking everything, folks. If it's so dangerous, why are they allowing it? Right? Oh, wait a minute. We have this thing called Constitution, our rights, freedom, liberty, all that stuff. Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, that didn't stop them for the last 18 months from fucking with everyone. Or could it be that they started screaming, fuck Biden, at sporting events? And I went through the various colleges on Sunday Night Live, a special Monday edition of Sunday Night Live last night, right? I went into that. This fuck Biden, and also, hey, you bet, they've had it with Justin Trudeau. You know, fuck him too up in Canada. People have had it. So you're not in trouble for political free speech. You're in trouble for cheering enthusiastically. I mean, how do you cheer subduedly? I'm going to subduedly cheer. Yay. What difference does it make when you're in a giant stadium? Looks like a big cereal bowl. And you've poured 20, 30, 40,000 screaming, 40,000 quiet students in there. Whether they scream and yell and exhale with vigor. I mean, what are they going to do? Start telling us how to have sex next? You're not allowed to have sex. You might exhale vigorously. You might cheer enthusiastically for your partner's efforts. We can't have that. You could be spreading cerveza bug all over the bedroom. I wish I could talk about this stuff in a more scientific manner, folks. But all I can do is, talk about CNN panelists and the stupidity they do, because they just might take down the Prepared Mind channel if I just talk about something that's a little bit too crazy, like the fact that what government does best is lie. Stunning, folks. By the way, I want to remind you about the R Syndicate. For all your prepper channels, everything out there, the R Syndicate is Uman. Uman, I want to thank you. Jolene, I want to thank you for running everything. But let's see, folks, the R Syndicate, what's that all about? All right, everybody. Hey, get this. Senator Graham does have a point. And that's that the Taliban are taking over this country for the very reason we went in there. It's the most backwards ass, this and that. Well, they're already cracking down on women. Now, it's incredible, folks, in Afghanistan is these women were actually trying to protest, right? Can you believe that? I mean, you want to talk about stupidity. How could they have forgotten that the Taliban, if they come out and speak out against it, they're going to round them up? And they did. They've rounded them up, and they're holding them in, of all places, a parking garage. Hundreds of Afghans who decided they were going to protest. Well, I mean, this may as well. No, wait, was I talking about Afghanistan or Australia? Or maybe Canada? Or maybe France? Where people, if you want to protest, like Germany, you get the shit beat out of you and rounded up. How is Afghanistan, in this case, any worse than European nations and some cities in the United States of America? Right? It's incredible, folks. The world is going absolutely apeshit, and you need to be prepared. But get this, folks, right? The Taliban, they're probably a little more extreme. They're holding these women there. What kind of trial do you think they're going to get? You figure they're going to get maybe some execution? That's what we've seen already from footage on the street is, hey, you don't want to wear your burqa? Well, guess what? You're getting execution. I guess it could be worse. They could be sold as slaves, but that's how things go over in Afghanistan. And we're seeing similar things in Australia. Hey, we don't like the fact that you got the sniffles. We're going to send you to a health hotel, a wellness hotel. Against your will, you're going to go where the government sends you. What's the difference, folks? Is there a difference? Is the rest of the world just catching up on how to be a complete totalitarian idiocracy like the Taliban? Maybe they brought the Taliban in so they could make their country, whether we're talking about Canada, Australia, or the United States, make them look like they're really conservative and friendly. And like, well, they're not doing too bad of a job. Meanwhile, in the state of Texas, Governor Abbott has signed an election integrity bill. It is now law. It is now law in Texas to have election integrity. I think that the left-wingers are not going to like this very much. The distrust or mistrust between political parties is, I'm going to say, worse than it has ever been, probably since the Civil War. I don't think it can be fixed. I really don't. I really don't, folks. Because I want to give you an example of freedom versus just fascism, freedom versus slavery, freedom versus stupidity. In Australia, folks, Daniel Andrews, some stupid ass politician, said, people who do not get the Jim Jones juice, people who do not get the hokey pokey, people who don't get their tequila shot will not be allowed to get health care. Now, I thought, according to Barack Hussein Barry-Soetoro Obama, that health care, access to health care, meaning you go to a hospital, you walk in, someone is going to treat you with whatever your medical condition is. But people who do not get the hokey pokey, right, the tequila shot, you don't get that, you're not going to be allowed health care. So apparently it's not a human right. Apparently it's a what? What does it, how does this work? To me, it's mind-boggling that just 10 years ago, it was a human right, a basic human right that you, and folks, get this, in the United States of America, you cannot be denied health care for any reason. If you're from another country and you go to a hospital, the emergency room, they have to treat you. If you come from Mexico and you're not an American citizen, you sneak across the border, you crawl through the weeds and bushes, and you get all the way to the hospital, they cannot turn you away. Even if they know you can't pay, you have access to health care. It's always been that way, or as long as I've been alive. But they're changing the rules, folks. If you do not get your zombie juice, your tequila shot, you will not be allowed health care. This is Australia. This is what they want. This is where they're going. You would think, folks, that if what they're offering was so good, we'd all line up for it, wouldn't we? We'd all go get it. We'd say, give us that Jim Jones juice. Oh, it's free? Bonus. But people don't want it. Why not? They don't trust the government. Why don't they trust the government? Because government lies. Really? Yes. Badly. Is there a problem with the Jim Jones juice? A lot of people certainly believe that, but they want to force everyone to. And they can't legally, they can't lawfully force anyone to. I'm not allowed to give you the details, but they're not allowed. So what do? They use coercion. Now, Australia is not the United States. I guess they can just say, hey, access to healthcare is not a right. It's a privilege that the government can take away, that a hospital can deny. In the United States, they can't, even though they're talking about it. They want to so badly find some way to get a hold of your short hairs, get a hold of you by the sack and yank on you and make you do what they want. They're trying to find a way, folks, whether it's shopping or they're trying it with public transportation, restaurants. What they're doing is they're killing what's left of business out there. And people are like, well, fuck you then. I'm not going to a restaurant. I'm not going to ride your stupid transportation. I'm not going to go see your ridiculous sporting teams. Forget it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to participate. They're John Galting left and right. Doctors and especially nurses are quitting, hand over fist, going, fuck it. I'm not getting it either. They're quitting. What do you think that's going to do? Well, there'll be less doctors and nurses out there working at the hospitals that are left open. And I guess they're going to say, well, because everyone wouldn't go do as they're told, do as recommended, because, you know, the smart people are in charge. There's not enough health care to go around. So now it only goes to those who are blessed by Joe Biden and his administration. Everyone else can go fuck yourselves, I guess. They've created, folks, a healthcare crisis inside of a healthcare crisis. And they're going to blame you for it. It really is a fucking clown show, folks. It really is. Truckers are warning everybody all around the world, in America here, folks, that the country is going to be shut down. Our country, our infrastructure, our transportation system. I want everyone, please get prepared. Whether you buy your stuff at thepreparedmind.com, I'm sorry, thepreparedmind.club, C-L-U-B. Whether you buy it there or buy it anywhere. If you have to go to Amazon, buy it. Wherever you can get food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, get what you need. It is absolutely critical at this point. We're getting all of the messages. There is no major shortage, but we're hearing about empty shelves. Prices haven't doubled, but they've gone up a lot. 20, 30% inflation just in a couple of months. You think things are going to get better? Give me some evidence of how things are getting better. What has Biden fixed? Has he cured cerveza bug? Have they opened the country up 100% and said, hey, we've got enough of the juice out there. We have herd immunity, no problem. Everything's fixed. Everyone get back to work. No more freebies, no more welfare. Everyone has to pay your rent. Everyone has to pay your mortgage. Everyone has to pay your bills. No, they haven't fixed any of this stuff, folks. People are just throwing their hands up going, fuck you, ain't doing it. We're being held captive. Now, the good part is the United States of America, we have the Second Amendment, right? That's just kind of a backup plan. We also have our attitude. It's like, no way. There's a percentage of us, and it's a pretty high percentage that says, we understand our rights. We have a constitution still. I'm waiting for the U.S. government. I'm waiting for the feds to come out and say, we suspend the Constitution. It doesn't matter anymore. We got some better rules we're going to play by. That's basically what they do. They just haven't said it yet. Americans know better, folks. A bunch of them don't. A bunch of them are idiots. Those are the ones we see and we're like, are they that fucking stupid? The question can be answered. Yes, they are. The people that wear a mask inside their car with the windows rolled up are that fucking stupid. People that have gotten their jungle juice and are afraid of someone else are that stupid. I have a friend got a hold of me the other day and said that when she goes out in California, she does not wear her mask and people run from her. Run from her. They recoil. Now the thing is, this person's relatively attractive. There should be no running. So that is now the new trigger response, is to see someone and actually see that they have a mouth and they run. It's just, it is clown world. It's stupidity. It's this blame game. Blame freedom. Blame free people. Blame people with their own natural immunity system. They're the bad ones. It is upside down. It is backwards. It is bizarro world, folks. And the truckers are like, you know what? It's going to get shut down. It's going to get shut down. Where do we go next, folks? You know, Biden, he ended up going to Walter Reed Medical Center, you know, where injured servicemen and women are taken. And there was no report of any Purple Heart being awarded. There's no photo op of the president, Gigi Biden, with anyone who was wounded. Folks, we talk about people who have been killed. But when a bomb goes off, like the Kabul airport bomb, people are killed. There was, 200 people killed, Afghanis. We had our service members that were killed, but it also means there's going to be injuries. So we have people who are injured. And folks, I think that the troops refused Joe Biden's attention, refused efforts by him to take a picture with him. In fact, there was one father who said this, father of an injured or wounded Marine. He said, Biden had the audacity to try and visit my son this evening. He was not welcomed. That's the country we're in. There are strong Americans out there, folks, that believe in America, want to serve their country, and they don't like what's going on. There is a huge schism in this country. Huge schism, right? Antifa shoots a protester at the End the Mandate rally in Olympia, Washington. Antifa, made up a bunch of white punk college student types, ends up shooting the leader of a protest rally. And guess what? He's Samoan. That means he is a Pacific Islander. It means he's a person of color. They're so backwards ass, folks, they don't even see what they're doing. They don't even hear the words. I thought Black Lives Matter. I thought Brown Lives Matter. I thought if you attack someone and you're white, that makes you a racist. Well, Antifa's out there shooting people, folks. Unbelievable what is happening. And this is just in the last day that I've gotten this information. Just in the last day, right? Fuck Trudeau, lock him up. Fuck Biden. It's been crazy. People have had enough. How dare you exhale with enthusiasm? Put on your masks. 3-star general, folks, of the United States military posted a photo of what she thought were U.S. troops. Turns out they were British. How can a general, a flagged grade officer of the United States military, not recognize the uniforms and equipment of another nation, whether they're an ally or not? You should know your enemy. You should know your allies. You should know your own troops. This, folks, is the retarded Pentagon, the retarded woke Pentagon. What do you think the morale is like in the military? It's got to be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Shit has hit the fan, folks, and it's almost like they're doing this shit on purpose. It is an incredible clown show, but, you know, they're not happy clowns, folks. They're not funny clowns. We're not funny clowns at all. What do you guys think? What are your questions? Right? And they're continuing to call Larry Elder, the Republican candidate who wants to run for governor. They're continuing to call him the black face of white supremacy. Unbelievable. We're going to switch over. We're going to flip over to doing your questions. I want to hear what you think, what's on your mind, what you've seen out there, and we're going to talk about it. Let's just go through a little Patreon promo, and then you guys on Patreon get to ask those questions. But for you on YouTube, come over to Patreon so you can do this with us every day. All right, we're back. Jolene, are we ready to roll? Pow, just like that, we are. All right, let's get to your questions, folks. On Patreon every day, Monday through Friday, except on holidays. And if I ever get a vacation, well, it's bound to happen sometime, I would think. Anyways, your questions. What do you want to talk about when you're on Patreon every day? And here we go. We've got the last super chat from I Like Turtles. He says, living within 5 miles of small National Guard base, how much should I worry? I wouldn't. I wouldn't worry. It's a small base, maybe I wouldn't worry about it. They're going to have their hands full with real problems. Now, a lot of National Guard are actually working full-time as law enforcement. That's a big percentage. The one I was close to was about 50%. Law enforcement, also National Guard. And it's just a nice way for them to double dip. But here's the deal, right? When things go bad, guess what? They're going to be very busy. If we get Mad Max off the hook, guess what they're going to be doing? They're going to be bugging out. They're going to be taking their family, their stuff, and getting out of harm's way. They're going to stay at their home, and they're going to bunker in their home with their groups. Folks, birds of a feather, police, law enforcement, they're friends with each other. They're going to protect each other. They have a lot to worry about. Trust me on that. So you've got a small National Guard, a post or base or a little installation. If you were an Antifa person or a Marxist Black Lives Matter member, or if you were part of a Proud Boys group that goes out and tries combating these people, battling them, you might have more concern because the National Guard might be called out to try and stop it. But if you're not, one of the Proud Boys, that I would think that these Antifa types would be more concerned about the National Guard, because when things go bad, what happens, folks? When things get nasty, the freaks come out at night. They start burning, looting, and murdering. Basically what happened in 2020. And I am really glad that in 2021, that whoever pulls their strings and pays their bills told them, no, you guys don't get to come out in 2021. You're going to keep it pretty calm. Thank God we didn't have to deal with more burning cities and uncontrollable riots. And that's a chapter of American history that I am not going to forget, and that I will not let the left-wingers forget. And that is to say that Vice President Kamala Harris bailed out, that is, got criminals who were out there assaulting police, committing arson, looting, assaulting and murdering people, made sure they got out of jail. Mayors and governors refused assistance from the federal government, refused National Guard assistance in keeping the peace. And the consequences were absolutely destroyed businesses all over the country in big cities. Juan Williams said, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. What a pile of shit. I'm not going to let him forget it either. All right, we got Steve, USMC No Tolerance. He says, I've been telling people that Biden did not end the war. He has expanded it. We will be hit again because of him, and the blood will be on his hands. Steve, you couldn't be more right. I couldn't agree with you more strongly. By funding the Taliban, an extremist organization in the Middle East, by funding them with $85 billion in military equipment, hardware, weapons, explosives, ammunition, uniforms, we've helped them. Now, all of the Afghanis and others who were trained by American military, who have defected over to the Taliban, basically, you want to be part of the Taliban military, or do you want to die? They'll be like, oh, I'll take life, and then now all of that training is going to be used to train Taliban. ISIS, ISIS-X, Al-Qaeda, name your terror group in the Middle East. They've now been trained. They've been funded with cash. Apparently, pallets of cash, once again, magically appear, US dollars out there. How incredible is this, folks? In other words, the United States government, via the Biden administration, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Pentagon have ensured that the Taliban and the terrorists have supplies for years and years more of attacks throughout the Middle East and even around the world. And it's hard to say, are they going to be able to bring their equipment here to the U.S.? Apparently, a 3-star general, she can't even recognize who is and isn't an American troop. If she thinks the British are American troops and posts a picture of them, what if she sees Taliban in American equipment, in American uniforms, with American weapons? I don't think she'll be able to tell the difference. They could have some big ass burly beards, right? Some Taliban beards, and she would be like, oh yeah, that's a good look. Crazy stuff, right? The blood will be on Joe Biden's hands. It'll be on the Secretary of Defense. It'll be on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But yeah, they've just spread this terror good and wide. You think they're not going to send that equipment into Iran? Oh, they already have. Pictures of the equipment that was given to them showing up in different places in the Middle East, folks. How about Israel? Do you think Israel is going to be happy if United States equipment, weapons, training ends up on their back door? They're not going to be happy with us. How about the rest of Europe if this stuff starts showing up over there? What do you think Europe's going to think of the United States if a bunch of M16s show up and are being used by radical Islamists? Now, this is from Annette. She says, is it true that the 100,000 Afghan refugees are being split up at different U.S. military camps and bases? This could be part of the communist plan for takeover. Concerned. And you should be concerned. We are all concerned. Approximately 100,000 Afghanis have been evacuated out of Afghanistan and into the United States of America. That's the story. Even if it was half in Europe and half in America, I think other nations have tried taking some, but is it just 100,000 total or 100,000 into America? See, I can't get a straight fucking answer. That's my problem, is how many were evacuated, how many come to America. But yeah, I'm hearing from law enforcement that they're landing at our airports, that they're being shipped and bussed and processed all over the place. Now, there were women, men, children, and an awful lot of young men. And the Taliban was saying who did and who did not have proper paperwork to get on that plane. The Transportation and Safety Administration, the TSA, did not send their employees over to Afghanistan to frisk their underwear fully. What a mess, folks. I think this is part of the plan to bring radical violent behavior into America. If you recall, in 2020, when we were having all these cities burning, the only reason it persisted was the police did not arrest them. When they got to jail, they were let out the back door to go and do it all again and again. What we discovered was many of the violent players were sent from city to city. They were bussed or flown around the country. Remember, this is, yeah, when everyone else is locked down, they're flying these fucking idiots around the country so they can commit violent extremist acts. My point is there's a lot of idiots out there, a lot of left-wing idiots, but there's not as many as you might think who are willing to be so radical that they would burn their own country to the ground. And if you and I were allowed to address the issue, I'm sure the outcome could be settled very quickly. Very quickly. The point being is they need more radicals in this country. More radicals that will hate America, want to destroy America. And this seems to fill the bill, right? 100,000 Afghanis, maybe 10,000, 20,000 of them are radical Taliban adherents who slipped through the cracks, the very wide cracks with nobody watching them. All right, let's move on. Biaxo, he says, I really like the new graphics and video and all the tech stuff. Keep up the good work. Too bad ScrewTube won't let you do the John Max Headroom stuff. That was so awesome. I tell you, good old Max, Mad Max Prepared Room. He could make a return at some point. I'm sure of it. You just need to be careful, folks. That's all. Now we got Orlando checking in. He says, I just read today that they found that Dr. Doofus lied. What else is new? He said that he and others were working to manufacture the cerveza bug to jump from bats into humans. And it looks like they funded approximately $30 million to get this work done. I tell you, folks, there is an awful lot of lying going on. I happen to know a physician who blew the whistle on some of the evil that was being done up there in Pittsburgh at the hospital. Same hospital while they were, apparently a little short tyrannical doctor was funding the experimentation using, human aborted fetus tissue to grow stuff on rats and mice. This same short little tyrannical doctor was involved with experimenting and torturing dogs in foreign countries using money for that. So for me, it's really not surprising that he has both lied and lied constantly and changed his words around and double speak, use sophistry, whatever it takes for him to not get in trouble. And he's allowed to get away with it. I don't know why he's just not arrested on the spot. A lot of people just want to say it. They just come out. There's shirts that have been made. Arrest Fauci. It's incredible, folks. We got Jenny Jen checking in. She says, I'm about to be denied access to online college next semester because I'm not going to take it. Talking about the Jim Jones juice. About to put a lawyer on retainer here that is totally against the jab. I tell you what, Jenny Jen, I really hope that you get the Master of Horror, right? Remember the guy that wrote the book? I think the movie The Stand was written by Stephen King. And it was about a disease that got out of control and wiped out most of the population. Again, the author of that, The Stand, and I think they made movies and miniseries and shit, is Stephen King. So Jenny Jen, pick up a Stephen King book. I hope that helps you out. But the deal is, this is now going down. This was a news story I read today. You're not the only one. I think there's a Rutgers student made national headlines because he's an online student who's being denied what? You can't finish your college courses unless you get the tequila shot. How does any of this make any sense? Doesn't it make sense that you could do online? You're at home in your office. You're not in the school, in other words. What's wrong with that? Why do you have to get that? Why do you have to get the Jim Jones juice to participate through the internet? Once again, it's about coercion. It's about forcing you to do something you don't want to do. It's about mandating your life, taking away your rights and privileges. I would look at this college and I would say, I enrolled, paid my tuition, bought my books, took the course under a completely different set of circumstances. And now you're changing the rules after the fact, and I want a total refund. I think the refund route might be a way to go. You can't get your years back, right? Can't get your time back, but you can get your money back. Because when you enrolled, you were under the belief, you operated under the belief, you entered into that contract under the belief that if I do the work, the school work, the academic part, then I would be able to finish. Now you're making decisions about my health care for me. And that's just changing the rules. I want my money back. I want my tuition, my fees, my books, everything. All right, we got Dangerous Freedom. He says, I was locked out of an Outback store last weekend. I was wearing my Arizona 3% shirt. They might be biased against patriots. Well, there's a hot tip for you. I'm wearing an Off-Grid Armory shirt. It came out of Minnesota. And Christine B. Hanna got this for me. I enjoy this. Oh, yeah, you can't see because of that. Yeah. I have not been denied access wearing Marine shirts or Prepared Mind merchandise. Prepared Mind shirts are great. One of them is I'm pro-choice too. Second Amendment has all kinds of different silhouettes of weapons on the back. And I've had people honk at me on the street and go, that's an awesome shirt, man. Literally. I'm like, yeah, they don't like it. They don't like the fact that there's people out here that are patriots, that are patriotic, that love this country. And you and I, we've been talking about this now for years. They've opened a divide, and it is so wide that you cannot work with these other people. These radical leftists are so bad. They literally, folks, are not afraid to call themselves socialists. You're like, John, what's so wrong with socialism? Right? Exactly. That's nothing. They're fucking outright communists. They are radical fascists. They're demanding no freedom of speech. They're demanding that now. That is so fucking Nazi, you can't believe it. They want to lock people up in prison camps, folks, because they don't like your politics. They want to deny you basic medical services, emergency medical services, unless you do everything they say. They want you fired. They want you kicked out of school. They want it so you can't go into a fucking restaurant or a store unless you are one of them, unless you believe what they believe. That's how radical these people are now. Their little stormtroopers on the street are waving communist flags. Their teachers in classrooms have Chairman Mao on the wall. They're forcing kids in schools to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the gay pride flag. They're admitting openly that they're indoctrinating kids in school. It's not uncommon anymore. It's not a secret. It is out. It is out in the open. We know. And they're not recanting it. They're not hiding. They want to teach your children, your grandchildren, to hate themselves and hate white people. Radicals right out in the open. I mean, just beyond. All right, Steve, USMC is back. He says, I walk around with Biden sucks hat on and a t-shirt that says, don't blame me, I voted for Trump. Nothing bad said to me around here. Might be because I open carry. It might be also because you are a salty old dog, man. You're a jarhead. And it might be that you live in an area that just doesn't have that many Democrats. They don't feel like they own the area. You see, that's how they operate. They come into an area, they infiltrate it, they get their people elected into the city councils and county council, right? County supervisors, and they tell all their friends, oh, this is a great place. You know, it's got some rednecks, but we can fix that. Let's just get people moved in here. They jack the real estate prices up. Locals end up leaving. Pretty soon you got a blue city, blue state. Then they start pushing their luck. Right? Then they start telling people, hey, you can't come in my place unless you have a mask. Let me see your vax passport. Right? They start that shit. It's going to be hell to pay, folks, because people who have their Second Amendment right, they got it right in their head. It's going to come to blows with these people. Now, the area I'm in, very much like the area Steve is in, is very, very Second Amendment friendly. Very Second Amendment friendly. And people drive around with American flags. People don't pull American flags off of flagpoles or cars. People wear Fuck Biden t-shirts. They do. They wear their Make America Great Again hats in the open. And they don't assault anyone, folks. They don't beat anyone up. They don't scream and yell at people. They just wear their First Amendment right out in the open. They don't have to hide it. They don't have to be careful. They just are good Americans who have a strong belief that the Constitution is a good thing and that it's not an obstacle that needs to be destroyed. Let us move on, if we shall. We got Eli in the Wolverine State. He says, with so many basements flooding lately, it's made me think because I keep my preps in the basement. I need a sewage backflow valve. Yeah, there's an anti-backflow preventative device that you can put into your sewer line that leaves the house. All it is it's a pipe, small section of pipe with a flap. When wastewater comes out of the house and hits it, it opens up, wastewater goes by, and then the flap shuts. If stuff tries backing up, it pushes the flap shut and then seals it. It's a very inexpensive device. The last time I installed one in a house was I think $25. They're probably gone up. Everything's gone up. They're probably $100 now. But I do recommend that. I recommend making sure that sewage cannot back up into your house. And definitely, folks, they don't want you having preps. They don't want you having preps because then you have an insulated level. You are protected from their stupidity. They don't like that. They don't want you having protection from their decisions. They want you at their mercy. If they say no more food, you can't go get food. If they say you're going to have a fuel problem, they want you to suffer without. If there's a water issue, they want to say, hey, it's a water issue. You can't do anything about it. Right? We need you reliant on the government for everything. Medicine, can't go to the hospital. So you should have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, folks, and a means of self-defense. They could say, hey, police are on strike. Hey, the police have been sent somewhere else. Hey, the police are really busy over there, so you're on your own. Aren't you glad you're a prepper, right? All right, we got the Paisley prepper. At one point in my life, I was afraid of Paisley. Just the way it looked, the little doodads, and then one day I was okay. And I started liking Paisley. I had a beautiful Wembley red silk tie. It was Paisley. One of my favorite ties that I had back when I was one of those business guys in my 20s. All right, let's move on. We got the Paisley prepper. Move on to her statement. She says, my boyfriend is working on a military base in the Midwest and said 3,000 refugees on the bases, wandering around, hanging laundry on all the fences like a third world country. They all got smartphones. They get into places they shouldn't and take pics of operations and stuff. Thank you very, very much Paisley Prepper. They got smartphones. What is a smartphone? Well, it's a phone that allows you to take pictures, videos, and you can send texts, email, secure messages through networks like Signal. There's applications like WhatsApp and Zoom and Skype that allow you to FaceTime live with other people. You could even, I'm sure, use the camera to show other people around the world on Skype or FaceTime or Zoom equipment. You can pan the camera back and forth. Look at all this beautiful equipment on this base. They get into stuff. Now, I've heard that they're also not only on military bases, but out in, ready for this one? The oil fields in New Mexico. Trying to build little camps. Why are they building camps? Why? And once again, yeah, everything is they've imported third world mentality. They've imported Afghani third world mentality. They're learning all about what America has and where it's at. They want to take over the oil fields. I'm sure if they can get away with it, they would. Apparently, though, that is being stopped as well as it's being discovered. Folks, we, the people, need to make sure that we keep our sheriff's departments on the ball and informed about what's going on. The sheriff is an elected official, not appointed by some stupid fucking mayor somewhere. And they have a right and a duty to get out there and make sure that the nation is safe and that we don't have these radical lunatics from another country running all over. But it's like herding cats, right? And it's already going. Mom says, oh, this is from Steve, USMC No Tolerance. Again, he says, 33,000 of them are on military bases. That is a frightening number. Military bases are not playgrounds. They are not refugee relocation centers. They have base housing for enlisted and commissioned officers and their families, as well as barracks. And then they have operational facilities where the training takes place for both infantry, mechanized, artillery, air support. There's fuel, there's munitions storage, as well as training grounds, right, where you go to train with all this stuff. But yeah, here we are. Let's bring in a bunch of people who don't like America, many of whom are Taliban, that is radical anti-American militants who would love to get their hands on this equipment. And I wonder if they have gotten training from U.S. military personnel, thinking they were the good guys over in Afghanistan. I wonder how many of these Afghanis understand how to get into a Humvee and start them, how to get into an MRAP and start them, how to get into a tank and start it. I wonder how many of these people are there. Now, I think they are uneducated, but that doesn't mean they aren't smart and resourceful with regard to stealing shit and getting into things and causing trouble. I'm sure a lot of them are good people, folks. I'm not worried about the good ones. I'm worried about the assholes on our military bases. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And it's not going to get better, folks. It's not going to get better. What they're doing right now is tearing down America. They want to destroy the Constitution. They want us defeated, and they are well on their way. Are you prepared? Chance favors the prepared mind, folks. Chance does not favor people who've got their fingers in their ears and their head up their ass. They're going to be caught off guard, fully unaware of what's going on. What a mess. The United States of America was founded on the concept that we have individual rights, liberties, and freedoms, and that government would be instituted among us to secure those rights and liberties and protect us from threats, both foreign and domestic. And now our federal government has brought a foreign threat into our country to join the other domestic threats that are here. Get prepared and get trained Get trained on how to protect yourself and start thinking about how you're going to organize your community. Be a community organizer, just like that guy, Barack Hussein, Barack Obama. Organize your community to keep it safe and protected in great times of SHTF. Semper Fi, folks. Always faithful to what you know is right. And Godspeed.